Hi, and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner, where I share 5 dinner ideas to hopefully give you some inspiration for this week. Of course, as always, don't forget to check out the description. There will always be videos and recipes that I do mention. And of course, if you guys want to see more What's for Dinner, I do have a playlist with over 60 videos of What's for Dinner. So let's get started with this week's What's for Dinner. We're going to start by making an egg fried rice. My daughter once asked for fried rice and I didn't have all the traditional ingredients that I like to add. So she looked up a video and found this recipe for egg fried rice, which is pretty much very easy. So I start by adding a little oil to my pan, and then once I add the oil and it's hot, I'm gonna add some green onions. I'm gonna add the white and the green part. I'm also gonna be adding some fresh garlic, and then to this I'm gonna let this toast up a bit, and then I'm gonna directly crack 2 eggs in this. Usually when I make fried rice, I cook the eggs separate so it doesn't get too mushy. But here it's everything in one pan, so it's very easy. And then I'm just adding salt and pepper, then cooking up the eggs, scrambling those up. This is such a quick and easy dinner. You can whip this up pretty quick or even as a lunch. My kids love it, so it's great as a main dinner, or you can have it on the side as well. And then I'm going to let this egg cook, and then I'm going to add a mixture of soy sauce as well as I'm going to add some teriyaki sauce. It just gives it like a really good balance of sweet and salty. And then this teriyaki sauce has a lot of ginger, garlic, a lot of good flavor already going to it. I'm going to add that, and then I'm adding about 4 cups of steamed rice that I had left over. And then I'm just going to quickly mix this all up. And just like that, we have an easy egg fried rice. Gonna continue to mix all this up. And then once I have this all combined, just a little bit of green onion for garnish on top. And then you can eat this just like this, or you can eat this on the side. You definitely want to add chicken, then you can add shrimp, chicken, whatever you want. But this is just a simple dinner, egg fried rice, and that was dinner for this day. This day we had nachos, and this is just the way that my mother-in-law makes them, so I make them the same way. I'm adding a little oil to my pan, and then I'm just using this paste nacho cheese brand. I got this at the Dollar Tree. This was the first time that I used it to make nacho cheese. I usually buy this and we dip like pretzel bites or like soft pretzels in this. But I had that and I wanted to make some nachos. I used to buy a bigger can from Costco or like a different store, but it's just a lot and it's very expensive. The price has gone up so much. So I just been buying little cans, and then I thin it out with a little bit of milk, mix that up until it warms up, and that's our nacho cheese. I also had different kind of other cheeses like the Fritos jalapeno one, which I really like. We had that one. And then besides the nacho cheese, now that it's ready, I just kept it on low with the lid on. I'm going to cook up some ground beef. I'm just adding a little bit of spray oil to my pan. And then I took this out of my freezer. I have a pound of ground beef. And then I'm just going to cook this up, break it apart. And I'm just seasoning it the way I always season my meats. I'm going to be adding some seasoned salt, some garlic, and then I'm just gonna cook that up. For this dinner specifically, we only used half of the pound and the other half went to my next dinner on the following day. So it turned out great. Everyone really liked the nachos. So that was my fresh garlic. To a pound, I add about 3 garlic cloves, depending how big they are, but usually around 3. Really gives the ground beef really good flavor. And then I'm just trying to ground this up the best that I can and then just cook this up. I get this meat on sale at Aldi, and when I do, I try to stock up just to have it in the freezer. Now my ground beef is fully cooked, and then to the side I'm going to be making a salsa. This is like a restaurant style. I'm adding onion, I'm adding a little bit of jalapenos. I didn't have that many, so it's just a little bit, like pickled jalapenos. I'm adding a garlic clove. I'm adding a whole can of Rotel diced tomatoes and green chilies. I'm also adding just a full can of regular diced tomatoes. And then I'm going to add salt, just a little bit of salt. And then as well as I'm going to add ground cumin. I'm going to add about a teaspoon. And then I'm going to blend this all up. Most of the time when I make this, I do pulse this. This time I didn't. I did blend it up. It still tasted good, but it looked a little different. So just depending on what kind of blender you have, I highly recommend if you do make this kind of restaurant style, just to pulse it. But it's still pretty good. We use this to dip the chips in. Like when you go to a restaurant and you sit down and have chips and salsa, that's what we did. But we also added it to our nachos. That's the consistency, what it looks like. The flavor was all there.
No. Okay, we want ground hamburger?
Yep. This is my bowl. My mom went crazy on this food.
Just put less if you don't want.
I want all of it.
Okay.
My mom went crazy on this food. My mom went crazy on this food. Look at that.
So starting to assemble our bowl, we're going to start off with some tortilla chips. And then we're going to ladle on some nacho cheese on top. And then we're going to also add some of the ground beef to this. And definitely when you make nachos, I know everybody adds a little bit of like different things. But this is the way my mother-in-law makes it, and it's just my favorite way to make it. It tastes so good, and it's very simple. So adding our ground beef. And then on the side, I make some pico de gallo, just chopped up tomato, onion, and some cilantro. And added that to on top. And this was my plate. This was our dinner for this day. Just something simple and that the kids like. And this is our nachos. This is what was for dinner on this day. So on this day we had chicken Parmesan, and we had half of that ground beef. I ended up making spaghetti with it because my daughter, even though she sees my youngest, even though she sees the chicken and the salad and everything, and she sees spaghetti, she also wants like with ground beef. So anyways, so I'm starting off with 2 eggs. I'm gonna mix those up, and then this is gonna be to dip our chicken in, and then we're gonna start with our coating. I'm using 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. This is just what I had on hand. So I'm using this kind and it works just great. The shaky bottle one. And then I have these Italian style breadcrumbs. I'm adding 1/4 cup as well. You can either buy them or make them on your own. And then adding that 1/4 cup as well. And then I like to add a little bit of panko breadcrumbs. I add 1/4 cup as well. I like to add it because it gives it like a little bit of crunch. On accident, I don't know why. I think I was just distracted. I added flour to it, which I never do. And it kind of changed the consistency for me. Only one of my child noticed. She's just like her dad. They can like pinpoint food and things like that. So I'm seasoning this as well. I added a little bit of chicken bouillon. I'm adding some seasoned salt. I'm also going to be adding some black pepper, some Italian seasoning, and also some oregano. And this is just some seasonings that I want to add. It's very important to have this well seasoned so when the chicken comes out, it's just nice and flavorful. You don't have to add like salt on top. Adding some dried oregano. And then getting my assembly line ready. Adding some fresh parsley. This parsley, my father-in-law on accident bought it. He thought it was cilantro and he bought that on accident. My mother-in-law was like, I don't know what to do with parsley. I was like, I'll take it. So I had fresh parsley instead of dry. So I have some chicken breasts. I am dipping that in the egg mixture, and then I'm going to add that to the breadcrumb mixture, and then I'm just making sure to pat it down and make sure it gets enough coating. And what I do is I make sure I get all the chicken nice and done just like this on the side. And then when I'm about my second to last chicken, I start adding oil to my pan and start warming it up. And then I am cooking these up. You can definitely do these in the oven. You can do them in the air fryers. Just on this day, it was just going to be easier for me to cook them up on the stove while I cook the pasta on the side, the spaghetti pasta. And then I had regular sauce on the side, and then the other half ground beef that I had it with the other sauce, just so that my daughter can have chicken parm and also spaghetti with meat in it, because if she sees spaghetti, there has to be meat for her. So this is what the chicken is looking like. We had family over on this day, and they love the chicken and the whole meal. It's such an easy meal too to make if you have guests coming over. And then I just put some mozzarella cheese, pop the whole chicken with the cheese on top in the with sauce in the air fryer for about 5 minutes, and it comes out nice and golden. Had a Caesar salad and a garlic bread, and this dinner was so good. This was dinner on that day. On this day we had birria, and this is two different ways that I had it, the birria tacos and also the birria bowl. I'm here cooking up my chiles and then blending it to make the sauce. I do have a full step-by-step detailed video on just to making the birria by itself. I will put that in the description as well, but it's so easy to make. It pretty much cooks by itself. But I explain what kind of meat I use, what seasonings I use, why I put certain ingredients in. This recipe is my mother-in-law, so she was nice enough to share it with me, so I'm sharing it with you guys. So here I'm adding that mixture that I added in my blender, and then I top it off with water, cooked it for 3 hours on a medium-high heat, and then now I have my meat all ready to go. Your house will smell amazing if you make this. And then shred that up, and then when people eat birria, I think they're more famous for birria tacos. People like eating that, so I'm making a few of those. Add a little bit of cheese. And then I made some rice on the side. I also made some beans, but I didn't film the beans. And then on this day, we had birria tacos. The amount that I made plenty for a lot of us, and then I had family over as well. And then I'm adding some hot salsa. In that birria video, I have the recipe of how to make that hot salsa as well if you're interested. And even the rice, like all the things that you need will be in that video if you want to check that out. And then I like to add onion and cilantro, which is traditional, into my tacos, and then I squeeze a little bit of lime. This is the consomme, the broth part that a lot of people like to dip their birria tacos in. Usually what you do when you go to a birria place, they serve it to you in a little white cup and you just drink that, and you would have that with your tacos. This is what my plate looks like. I got my tacos and I got my rice. And I had it just like this. And then of course you got to do a little dip in that consomme. And that was dinner on this day. The following day I had it in a bowl, which is my favorite way to have it. I get the broth, I get onion, cilantro, lime juice, rice, and then this is birria chilaquiles with eggs. My brother sent me a video and I made him that too. So many things to make with birria. On this day, we made cheeseburger sliders. My daughter requested she wanted cheeseburger sliders. I got these two meats on sale at Aldi. The Wagyu, I've never tried Wagyu before, but I saw it was actually cheaper than the ground beef, so I picked that up. And then I got my potatoes. I'm going to peel those potatoes and soak them in water, and then I just chop them up into shapes of french fries. And then you can either deep fry these, air fry these, or bake them in the oven, which is what I'm going to do. I line them up just like this, make sure there's enough space in between them. I put cooking spray, and then I add salt to them. And then I bake them at 400 for 20 minutes. And they come out nice every single time. Here I'm making little sliders, so I'm doing 2 pounds of ground beef, and then usually if I'm making regular, I will cut this in fourths, and that's how I separate the patties. When the ground beef is shaped like this, it's very easy to cut. But since I'm making sliders, I'm cutting them in 6 portions. If it's in the tube, it's also easy to cut. You just split it in half and then half again if you want 4. And that's the best way to shape them. Usually, this is what I do. I don't really buy hamburger patties unless I'm grilling or something. We're going to the pool. But I just form them like this. And then I add some garlic powder as well as some seasoned salt. And then I always do a little thumb imprint. And then I'm going to put some cooking spray on my pan. And then put my little burger patties on top. And they cook pretty quick. And then going to season the other side. And then once they're ready to flip, you can always tell they're ready to flip when they're not stuck. So this is my fries. They're all ready. I'm putting them on a plate on the side. And just to have those ready to go. These came out a little bit more crispier, but they're still really good. It's just an easy way to make some French fries. And then I'm going to flip my burgers. I'm going to be honest with you guys. The Wagyu was really good. Really good. I don't know what a Wagyu steak tastes like. This is it right here, the Wagyu. But it was really good. It has a lot of fat in it. So of course that's going to be flavorful. But it was very tender. It was really good. So I'm forming them as well. And then I had some leftover like chopped up onions in this little cup. So on half of these, I put a little bit of onion on them. That's what I had my hamburgers growing up when I was little. As you can see, these are the Wagyu burgers that I'm cooking up. You can tell all the fat that's in there. Of course, that's a lot of flavor, but it was a lot of fat. But again, like I said, it was really good. It was on sale, so I'll take it. So here I'm putting some mayo on the little sliders. This plate was actually for my mother-in-law, so I was sending this plate to her. She likes her buns nice and toasted. Each time we send each other like a plate of food and we return our the plate back to each other, we always put food on our plate. So this is what the sliders look like with the little cute little cheese and the little cute little lettuce. Estrella, my youngest, says these are little Krabby Patties. I didn't have like tomatoes, but this went really good. And then the French fries. Of course, those little party toothpicks on top would have been cute, but I didn't have any of those. And this is what our dinner was. We had little cheeseburger sliders with French fries. And this was dinner on this day. Very, very simple. And I sent this plate out to my mother-in-law and she said it was really good. She really enjoyed it. And as well as she sent me some bananas and I ended up making some banana bread, which you'll see in the next clip. I will put that recipe down below. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's What's for Dinner. And I will see you on the next one. We got a banana bread and a banana nut bread. Her favorite. Bye guys.